a second-hand coat. I want a yacht, not a cheap little boat. I tell my daddy not to be depressed. All I need for happiness is the best. I want a diamond, nothing else has appeal. And when it comes to men, you know how I feel. I want a real man. Give me a real man, you know what I mean. I want a real man. Oh, real man, you're what I need.
Hey, what's going on? Hey. And we're already 5 seconds behind. Just right off the top. See that? Perfect. Hey, welcome to Real Men. This is the show where men get real. I'm your host, Tim Steeves. We have an awesome panel assembled to break it down. Let's get down to what's really wrong today. And let's meet our panel. Anne-Marie Scheffler is here today. Good to see you, Anne-Marie.
Nice to see you, Tim.
Nice to see you. Also here today, Chuck Byrn dropped in. Good to see you, Chucky doll.
Good to be seen.
And Ryan Belleville is here.
Hi, Tim.
Ryan, obviously comfortable with the milieu. And Tim Rykert also. Good to see you, Timmy.
I bid good day to you, sir.
Nice. Everybody obviously had things planned for me today. That's nice. And we're going to get it started with that same Tim Rykert with a commentary. Go ahead, Timmy.
I don't have to listen to you. You're not my real dad anyway. I hate you. I'm telling my mom on you. Boy, one of the scariest things any man could have to go through is that of becoming a stepfather. You have to walk up to a young, impressionable child and say, hello, I'm your new father. Well, not really your new father because your old father's still on the scene. I guess I'm kind of your father figure now in the house, but not really there either because your old dad, he's going to teach you about life and stuff on the weekends. But I live here with your mom, and I'm a guy, and hey, you know what? You can call me Dad if you like. Would you like to no, you don't want to call me Dad. How about Uncle Timmy then? You could call me Uncle. You just want to call me Tim. Okay, hey, first name basis, that's cool. We'll be friends, you know, but not too close because I have to be an authority figure, and I'm going to have to punish you from time to time, but I'm going to have to watch myself there because you do have the power to destroy my entire life just by making up a story about something that happened when we were alone. So, in general, I'm screwed. Now, I was never a stepfather myself, but I was a stepchild, and my best advice I can give to stepfathers is out-and-out, blatant, unabashed bribery. That's right. When Mom's not home, ice cream for dinner. And hey, you know what? I don't think your allowance is high enough. So here, why don't you take no, make it 40. You know what? Spread it out. Go buy your friend something. And hey, you know that pellet gum your mom thinks you're too young to have? I don't think so, but we're not going to tell her. I'm going to get you that pellet gun tomorrow. Okay, pal? Okay, pal? Bribery. Don't think of it as bad. Don't think of it as buying the child's love. Just think about it as evening out the horrible odds against you in becoming a stepfather. What do you think, Tim?
I think that was a nice job, buddy.
Thanks,
Good
buddy.
job. So you're saying just pellet guns and ice cream for everybody involved.
Exactly, man.
What do you think, Chuck? Should the stepdad be equal with the biological mother?
Yeah, but not right away. I mean, I had a stepdad for a while when I was young, and he actually brought a lot of normalcy. I mean, he was a very nice guy. It all depends upon who you are, really, I think, more than anything. But right away, like when he was first there, he played the role of friend. He played just the get to know you, kind of stay at, and he kept himself out of any discipline issues. He kept himself out of all of that until he was familiar enough with both my brother and myself to be able to insert something.
I think what's really important too is if you're going to be a stepdad, is that your wife's ex, like the biological father, recognizes that you have authority to be a disciplinarian to the child.
If you're lucky.
But like Chuck says, that's going to take some time. How long did that process take for you guys, Chuck?
About a year.
Right.
About a year. Of course,
Well,
yeah, he had his stuff together.
Right.
So that helped.
Well,
Right.
I know a lot of people who their father wasn't even around anymore. Like you're saying that the father's around, but they didn't even have a dad around anymore.
That was mine, yeah.
So the stepfather had to be, like a lot of people believe, and I believe too, that you need some sort of male influence in the house, especially for sons. They really look forward for that.
But I think these days you're going to have the biological father around a lot more. You know, it used to be when I was growing up, my friends who had stepfathers, that was the new father.
Right.
But now, I mean, I have been in a stepmom position, and I was constantly getting undermined by the biological mother. I would say something, and then he'd come back, and I was with this little boy for 2.5 years, you know, in a common law situation, and he'd come back from visits and say, my mother says I don't have to listen to you. And I'd be like...
Well, kids also play, kids get very good at playing both sides against the middle.
That's smart.
Because
smart.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're going to let me go to the concert. Well, they're going to let me go to the concert in a limo. well, they're going to let me go to the concert in a limo with hookers, and they'll
bet
do
in that case,
and
though-
parents will compete.
Hey, Marie, I bet in that case, though, it was the ex-wife being a little pissed off.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just looking at you. I'm thinking, that wasn't sitting well with her.
You
know
do not
that.
have to listen to that woman.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, no,
blonde thing that your father has taken up
Exactly.
with.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of people who have that problem, like spouses who break up and feel like they're being replaced as a husband or a wife, and so they don't want them to be a good father or mother to their kids. Even if they're not a good father or mother, they sure as hell don't want you to be a good father or mother.
Well, because it points out how bad you really are.
Exactly.
When somebody steps in and does the job well.
As awful as it is to say, obviously the ideal situation is one where the old father isn't around anymore. For whatever reason, he's gone. And then it's a matter of building this new relationship. But man, when that old father is still in the picture and taking them every weekend, and I just can't get, because I was a stepchild when I was a kid, and my dad used to take us on weekends, and then there was this other dad that...
Well, then the authority, the stepfather's authority is almost non-existent, because the father's still there,
Right.
and regardless, the father is always going to trump the stepfather,
But I have
even if he is a screw-up.
Yeah, I have a lot of a lot of friends I grew up with. They just did not get along with the stepfather at all, unless the stepfather came in when they were really young, too young to really understand that
What was going
daddy's
on.
gone and this is a new guy taking the place. Like anybody who was old enough to comprehend that didn't really like their stepdads.
Yeah, we're basically talking about little kids now. Imagine teenage years, too, young teenage years when they're still at home. Like, can you imagine switching?
Well, that's what it was for me. I was 13.
Were you
Right.
like a rebel though? Did you rebel against him?
No, not really. I think the interesting thing was my family was in such chaos when he showed up that things actually started to normalize, and so it was a positive change.
That's cool. That's all the time we have for this panel. Nice job, guys. When we come back, we're going to be joined with Dr. Goldman. He's an ER physician at Mount Sinai Hospital, and he's with the Discovery Health Channel. When we come back, we're going to talk to him about why guys won't go to the doctor, and I think we're going to get some flu shots. So everybody buckle up. Coming right back. Hey, welcome back to Real Men. This segment, we're joined by Dr. Goldman. How are you, man?
I'm fine. How are you?
Thanks for coming in. Dr. Goldman's an ER physician at Mount Sinai, and he's also with Discovery Health, the Discovery Health Channel.
That's right. It was a condition of my license with the college that I only work in television.
Okay. I'm not even sure I get that joke, but I'll just fake it. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
So why don't men go to the doctor, Doc?
Number one reason?
Yeah.
Too many women doctors.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
That's right.
Do you think that's true, Timmy?
I think I'd be more likely to go to a doctor if there were a women doctor. I'm not afraid of a woman doctor. I can understand why some guys would be.
Some women are doctors?
More than half of most medical school classes these days are women doctors.
Really? And
We
how do
should
you
have never
feel
let
about
him
that?
vote. Tell you that.
How do you feel about that, Doc?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah. Do you care about that?
I have no problem with it at all.
No
It's
problem either
fine.
way.
Yeah.
Won't
It's
it
actually
save money in the future in the medical system because then they can be the doctors and the nurses at the same time? Is that, am I being sexist? I hope not.
No, just a little bit.
Ryan, do you go to the doctor, man?
I do go to the doctor. I have I have a bit of problems with some of the medicine sometimes. Like I have a bit of fear of I don't have a big fear of doctors, but I don't like every time I go in, something's being pushed on me, a medicine or something. So, and I found a good doctor who gives me more herbal stuff, which I go to more regularly.
What about Chuck Byrne? Chuck, are you a big fan of the doctor?
No, I don't like the
Byrne?
doctors. I think they're all a bunch of pill-pushing maniacs that work for the drug company.
this is
Here comes the propaganda.
this is the ruse.
Yeah.
You know, they don't like pills and that kind of
ruse?
stuff.
What do you
It's
mean
a
the
ruse.
ruse?
They're wimps.
Yeah, no, I'm not a wimp.
They don't like pain.
Okay, well, let's
No,
find
if I
out.
don't like pain, I would have gone to the hospital and they would have filled me full of pills to get rid of the pain.
All right, let's find out who the wimps are, Doc. You brought some flu shots.
That's right. It's time for everybody to have their annual
Let's
flu
get
shot.
a flu shot, fellas. Everybody's fine.
Yeah.
Chucky doll, you ready for a flu shot?
No, I'd
so much?
I'd much rather go home and do the traditional bleeding of the leeches.
Oh my!
Because 100 years ago, that's what they were pushing. Now they're pushing the flu shot.
Unbelievable, eh,
It's a
Doc?
great cure, but we've got wimp number one. Who else?
Okay, Tim Rykert, what about
I'm a
you?
real man, so I'll take the flu over a shot.
He sits behind an open window until he gets something
Very
serious.
responsible. The only problem with that is that you're going to give the flu to 100 other people, and you're going to
Hello.
start up an epidemic.
Hello.
Do they
And
live
what
in
about
my
Ryan
apartment?
Belleville? There's our little tough guy, Ryan Belleville.
I'm sick already, and you told me I can't have one.
Do you have a fever? You sick?
I don't have a fever anymore, but I did up until yesterday.
Oh, then he shouldn't.
Okay.
That's one of the people who
That
shouldn't
brings us
have it.
to Anne-Marie Scheffler. What about you, Chef?
Well,
Look at that, Doc.
She's dressed.
Yeah, she's
Dressed
ready
for the
to go.
occasion.
well, I
ready to
guess
go.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I got to ask you a
The
few
flu
questions
shot, I
about it.
meant.
Okay.
It's just too
First of all,
hard
you're
for me
not
to roll
sick.
up my sleeve.
You haven't got the flu right now.
I don't have the
You haven't
flu
got a
right now.
cold or a fever.
No.
You're not allergic to egg products
No.
because flu shots have egg products.
What's
in
that
them.
about? There's egg in the flu shot?
That's right. So if you're allergic to egg products, if you can get a serious allergic reaction to eggs, then you shouldn't be getting a flu shot. Have you ever suffered from the Guillain-Barré syndrome?
I don't know.
Total paralysis from the neck on down.
No,
Oh.
not me.
That's a weird reaction that can happen in 1 in a million chance of happening with the flu shot.
Wow.
So if
Million.
you've had that, you shouldn't have it again.
But 1 in a million means it does happen.
Right.
And it might happen today.
I don't think it'll happen today if it's never happened before.
What was it called again, Doc?
Guillain-Barré syndrome. That's pretty unlikely. In fact, we
Pretty
haven't seen one in
unlikely,
this
I'd say.
part of the world. And we're giving a lot of flu shots in Ontario.
People
You know,
do
with
get
this-
struck by lightning.
Yes,
How many people get a flu shot in the run of a year? You know, off the top of your head.
50%. 50% of the population, now that it's free in Ontario, maybe a little bit more. We need to get studies. You know, they have to tell us how many they've actually given out versus the number that they
So that's like
paid
3
for
people
and
who
are
get
now
the
going to have to waste.
Has the Ontario government seen a similar decline in cases of the flu?
They say they have, and in fact, in many cities, they
They-
say they didn't have even one documented case of the flu last flu season, which was the first year that they started the
Well, why don't you go
universal
ahead
program.
and poke Anne-Marie with a
Before
needle
I
then?
change
do
my
it.
mind.
Very good.
See, that's my thing. I'm counting on everybody else around me getting flu shots so I won't catch it from
Exactly.
Are you a
Exactly.
fainter?
them. I'm one of the 50%. I'm on the
I'm
side
a
of...
fainter.
She says she's a fainter, so we're going to have
I've
to
been
watch
known
her
to
very
faint.
carefully. Fortunately, she's sitting down.
I'm sitting down and I'm surrounded by real men, so I'll
Are you
be
going to look
okay.
at Chuck while this goes down?
How
Yeah.
many people throw up during this thing, Doc? Like, you know, get
1 in a million.
queasy.
Gee, that's a pretty big needle.
That depends on the person. I would say ballpark, maybe 5% of people on site do it. I mean, they do this thousands of times
Right.
at free flu clinics. Fainters can happen, but that's
Sure.
why they're sitting down. And that's why we watch for it. I mean, we see that in the emergency department all the time. People who come in who've fainted, who have
Right.
a history of fainting when they get needles.
I took some
More
stitches.
guys, by the way, more guys than girls.
For sure, I took some stitches over the eye, and when the joy juice hit me in the eye, man, I got pretty queasy pretty fast.
We are ready to roll.
Are you ready? Are you
Doesn't
good to
she
go?
look relaxed?
Come on now, Chuck.
Fine.
Okay.
You're
Come on,
going to
Chuck, be
feel
nice.
a little
Yeah, just gonna-
prick.
You puss
No,
now, you
you're
can't make
just gonna
fun.
go right through her arm?
Hey, no editorial
crying.
comments.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, you ready to go?
Joy.
Here's me looking away.
1, 2, 3.
So I
Take
can't
a breath.
even watch somebody else get one.
Okay. And now we're going to inject it slowly.
No
How's that feel?
problem.
I feel
She's a little
warm
trooper.
inside.
She's a little trooper.
And
Look at
now
her.
we're going to
My
pray
legs-
to the
All
pagan
done.
gods.
Give her a round of applause.
Yeah, look at that.
That was good.
Nicely
a real
done,
man.
Chef.
All right, let's test it. Somebody sneeze on her. Somebody who's sick.
No, it takes about 1 or
Send
2
me
weeks to
aside.
work.
Oh.
So if you get the biggest myth is that I got the flu shot and 2 days later
I'm good
I
to
got
go.
the flu.
Right.
No, I got the flu. Well,
Right.
that's a myth because the flu vaccine doesn't contain live flu. It's what they call killed flu virus. So you can't get the flu from a flu shot, but you can get the flu 2 days later because it was already in your system. It takes about 2 weeks for the flu shot to actually work.
I have a question.
But the dropping dead thing, that should happen right away?
Right away.
I'm safe.
I have a question about the super flu. Because there's been a lot of people, like I have a couple of friends whose parents were doctors and nurses.
Let's get to that when we come back. We got a break, Ryan. Okay, let's get back. We'll be back in a sec with more from Dr. Goldman. You hang with us for a sec, Doc, and we'll talk more about why men don't go to the doctor on Real Men. Welcome back to Real Men, where men get real. We're joined today by Dr. Goldman from Mount Sinai, and we're talking about why men don't go to the doctor. Rykert, actually, you have a good reason, don't you, why you're scared to go to the doctor?
I have either the best reason not to ever go to a doctor again or to never be afraid of a doctor again. When I was 9 years old, I had to have an operation on what I then referred to as my winky. And if you
Your penis, Tim? Come
my
on.
penis, sir, I had to have an operation, and feel free to ask any questions. It's no.
What kind of an operation on your penis was it, Tim?
It was too long, Tim, and no.
Oh, it was penis reduction surgery.
It was
Look at that 9-year-old. Oh my God.
No, when I was 9 years old, we found out that my pee hole was a little too small, and so there was too much pressure when I peed, and it hurt.
You mean a stricture in your urethra, right, Doc?
Something like that. Mind you, I could cut rock. It
Did
was
you go to
really-
med school?
No, I had one too. A stricture in my urethra, and that you don't want that.
Okay.
Is it really called?
So why does that mean you don't want to see a doctor now?
No,
Because the last time
said,
he did, look what they did to him.
No, I'm saying that's either a reason to be afraid or not ever to be afraid. And with me, it's the latter. I'm not afraid of doctors at all.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Traumatic experience when you're young.
Yeah, like what else can happen to me from a doctor? I've already had one snip at my little thingy. So
Yeah, there's some things that I don't have a problem going to a doctor for. And like, you break your arm, doctor knows how to set your arm. No problem. But, you know, just the day-to-day stuff. The pills is the big thing I have the problem with. Just
What's
the
Chuck's
urgency
problem,
of
Dr.
giving
Goldman?
pills
Can you
for
straighten Chuck
everything.
out in 4 minutes or less?
So he's got pillophobia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it
I've
seems
got the
to be.
perfect pill for
it
that.
seems to be. Yeah, exactly. It seems to be, regardless of the problem you show up to the office with, there's a pill that is supposed to aid in some way with that problem.
You know why we
which,
do
which
that?
for me, yeah, it does. You do it to shut the patient up.
It packs you off in 5 minutes. You've got to be able to see a
Exactly. It
patient
packs
every
you off
10
in
minutes
5
if you're a
minutes,
family
but
doctor these days. Otherwise,
These
you can't
pills
make a
are
living.
being pushed by the doctors who essentially have become,
And
you
the
know,
doctors don't seem-
stooges
Yeah.
for the drug
The
company.
doctors don't seem to know the patients. My father doesn't like to go to the doctor, but when he does go to the doctor looks at him and then like opens up the file, and then he's like, "Oh, right, Mr. Scheffler," you know. And my father knows that he hasn't looked at his files ever since the first visit, you know. So he doesn't feel like he's
Dr.
getting.
Goldman, are things changing in the
care.
Western world as far as like Chuck's talking about? Are you getting more into the echinacea, the eye of Newt, and those kind of?
We have to. It's important for marketing. It's really important that we show that we're interested in alternative treatments.
Right.
But I should point out that
But that answer essentially just said we're doing it because we're being pressured to.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't
let-
really believe it. That's all voodoo, acupuncture.
now
and-
listen, it isn't drugs or alternative. I mean, you know, some of them work, some of them don't work on both sides. But listen, if you came to the emergency department with chest pain and you were having a heart attack, and I gave you a clot-busting drug, I could stop that heart attack dead in its tracks. And that's something that we just didn't have 20 years ago.
Right.
Oh,
So, I mean, some drugs are amazing.
No, you must love to see the Chuck types roll in, right? Oh, you like my pills now, big fella? Right?
Yeah.
How do you like me now?
Now as you're grasping your chest.
Well, I like, it seems to be like doctors, for me, that it's the idea that you're talking about the leeches and things like that, but, you know, 100 years ago, the doctors, no matter how wrong they were like, we know exactly what's wrong with you, we know exactly what the problem is, and nowadays it's the exact same thing, you know, but it's constantly a new, like, thing, papers coming out, medical papers coming out saying, oh, this stuff was totally wrong, or, hey, we've been giving this pill to pregnant women and it causes deformities. Oops, we thought
How up to date do you have to stay, Doc? Do you have to take courses ever, or?
You do. You have to take courses. You have to do what's called continuing medical education, which means you have to go to conferences that are sponsored by the drug industry.
Exactly.
Right.
And just kidding, just kidding. And you do have to stay
In
up to date.
Aruba.
And if for no other reason, you know, you not only want to stay up to date, but you've got patients who are surfing the net. They know 10 times as much
Right.
as you do, so you have to stay one step ahead of them as
Do you
well.
find patients are coming in much more informed now?
Absolutely.
Oh, of course.
And
right.
medical knowledge is doubling every 5 years.
I mean, the first thing you do when somebody gets something, they're online checking it out. My
right.
friend has a baby who was born with an extreme syndrome, and he knows more about this in 10 minutes. You know, times are changing fast.
But aren't you finding that all of us need to know more than we can stuff into our brains? I mean, we all have to manage knowledge. Not know things, but manage knowledge. That means knowing where to look things up. I mean, do you want to
Right.
know that your doctor has memorized every drug dose if it's 100,000 drugs that they can choose from? Or do you want to know that they know where to look them up?
Exactly.
I mean,
Obviously the latter, right? I don't want them going by memory. I want them knowing exactly
That's right.
where.
Well, it's like a sports fan who can rhyme off stats but doesn't know the rules of the game.
I mean, when
I'm
I work
sports
in the
analogy man.
when I work in the emergency department, I want to be able to eyeball a patient and know whether they're really sick or not so sick. Does this person need to see a surgeon right now?
Right.
Would my sending them home be the most disastrous thing that could happen? Do they need to be admitted or not? And often that comes from experience, a gut feeling, not just knowledge.
And that's a tough call.
Yep.
Do you want to stay with us for one more segment? Just a couple minutes left.
Why
I
not?
promise. Hang in. We're with Dr. Goldman. We're talking why men won't go to the doctor and that type of thing. Stay with us. Hey, welcome back to Real Men. We're joined by Dr. Goldman today from Mount Sinai. We're talking about why men don't go to the doctor. We got a couple of minutes left. Final questions for the doc here. Anne-Marie, you want to start?
Yeah, so do you think that doctors have enough time with their patients these days, or is it just they just have no time for their patients?
That's a really good question. I think that it's true. They're seeing more and more patients. There's, volumes are up in emergency departments, and doctors are seeing more patients that they can handle. And it may be that that there is too much work for them to do, and maybe they need to consider something like nurse practitioners to help do the work for them.
Right.
Would you guys rather see a nurse practitioner than see a doctor?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Like I was saying earlier, the woman doctor thing, you know. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned, we're talking about why guys don't go to the doctor, nobody's mentioned the old prostate exam. That,
Yeah.
The prostate
you know,
exam, doc.
Which, again, I have to say, I'm not afraid of that. I've been, you know, the first time it's a little, but, you know, and then next thing you know, I'm asking my wife to do it. So it's...
The phrase, yeah, but Timmy, the phrase "you're going to feel a little discomfort" is an understatement as far as I'm concerned on that score.
Maybe it's lack of adequate preparation.
That could be. Well, or just attitude.
You talking lube, doc?
You know, the reason why I don't go to doctors is
Talking about
You're
it.
talking lube?
I expected to live forever until a doctor told me I wasn't going to.
I think you're onto something. I think most guys assume they're going to live forever
Yeah.
until their first friend dies of natural causes. And most women want to live forever, and from a young age they want to do everything that they can for themselves and for their kids
Right.
to help them be as healthy as
Ryan's
possible.
still at that age. Ryan's
Yeah, I'm
22.
still suffering
He's
from
still
invincibility.
Superman over there, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm only 22 and I smoke and I drink, but look, I'm sick right now. So what's that say?
Yeah.
Who knows?
You think you're going to live forever, right?
Oh, well, I don't think I'm going to live forever, Doc. I am going to live forever. Hello.
Sadly, you won't be there to see it.
Yeah.
But
I think since I was 15 years old, I've been a hypochondriac and thought I'm going to drop dead of cancer any minute. Like from 15 years old, I was looking for lumps going, I'm going to get cancer and die. So I'm like the opposite. I've never had thoughts of, oh, I'm going to live forever.
I think, though, because we are so obsessed with death in some ways, it has become a pretty morbid culture, like internet and you know, the doctors, like you said, like people are like so much violence too, that everyone becomes obsessed with death nowadays. That like Woody Allen, that I'm surprised he hasn't dropped dead because he's so obsessed with death by now.
Well, you know, for me, when I graduated from university, I had to find a doctor, and I wanted to find a woman doctor, and I did what you're saying, which is like looking how to prolong my life, you know, and I don't think about death that
just got
way
15
as
seconds.
you, Ryan, you know, I think.
Last word to Dr. Goldman. 15 seconds, doc. What would you tell a guy who's petrified at home?
Go see a doctor.
Hey,
You'll love it. You'll be
well,
glad
if you're
you
going to
did.
put it like that, thanks for tuning into Real Men. If you're homesick, get your ass to the hospital.
we'll get you a pill. It'll fix you up real good.
In my case,